The Forgotten Ritual of Sin. Eating, a haunting tale. In the dimly lit corners of the British Isles, where shadows dance with the whispers of the past, there lies a chilling tradition known as sin eating. Once a solemn ritual practiced in the heart of rural communities, sin eating has faded into obscurity, but its echoes still linger, haunting the pages of history. Join me as we unravel this eerie tale, a story of death, sin, and the dark figures who dared to take on the burdens of the departed. Imagine a time when death was not merely a distant concept but a constant companion. In these bleak villages, where life and death intertwined like the gnarled roots of ancient trees, the fate of a soul after passing was a matter of grave concern. The Sin Eater emerged as the lone figure in this shadowy landscape, tasked with a chilling duty to cleanse the soul of the deceased by absorbing their sins. This ritual, steeped in superstition and folklore, varied from one haunted village to another. Yet, the essence remained the same: a desperate attempt to ensure that those who departed could find peace, unburdened by the weight of their transgressions. Let us step back to the 17th century, a time when the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the fear of the unknown. Picture a room shrouded in darkness, flickering candles casting long shadows across the faces of mourners. In the center lies the body, draped in a simple shroud, while a sin eater stands at the threshold. In this eerie setting, the sin eater, a figure often shunned by society, approaches the deceased. Bread, cheese, and a flagon of beer are placed upon the corpse's chest, offerings meant to facilitate the transference of sins. As the sin eater consumes these foods, they chant incantations, their voice a low murmur in the stillness of the room. With each bite, the air grows heavier, as if the very essence of the deceased clings to the sin eater like a shroud. The climax of the ritual unfolds as the sin eater exits through a hole cut into the door. This act, laden with symbolism, is believed to allow the sins to escape, leaving the departed soul free to ascend into the afterlife. But what of the sin eater? As they step into the night, the weight of the sins now rests upon their shoulders, a burden both sacred and terrifying. Sin eaters were not merely chosen at random. Their selection was steeped in tradition and often reflected the social dynamics of the community. Many were outsiders, wanderers, or those who did not conform to societal norms. It was believed that these figures, existing on the fringes of civilization, could absorb the sins without being tainted themselves. Some sin eaters were thought to possess supernatural abilities. Villagers whispered that they could absorb and expel sin with a mere touch, infusing their role with an unsettling mystique. As the Reverend Edmund Price documented in *** 1678***, the case of Gwenllian Jones illustrates this haunting reality. Upon her death, the local sin eater, an old beggar named Cadi, was summoned. As mourners gathered, Cadi mumbled a prayer, his voice trembling with the weight of the task ahead. He consumed the offerings laid upon Gwenllian's chest, each bite a prayer for absolution. But as he shuffled out into the darkness, a chill swept through the village. The next morning, Cadi was found babbling in the churchyard, his eyes wide with terror, as villagers whispered that he now carried the sins of Gwenllian Jones, an eternal burden that might haunt him forever. For many, the role of the sin eater was born out of desperation. Often drawn from impoverished backgrounds, they exchanged their services for food or a meager reward. The ritual, while steeped in superstition, became a means of survival, a precarious balance between the living and the dead. The community's view of the sin eater was a dual-edged sword. On one hand, they were revered for their willingness to shoulder the burdens of the deceased. Villagers respected them, recognizing the spiritual significance of their role. Yet, lurking beneath this reverence was a palpable fear. To accept the task of a sin eater was to invite suspicion and isolation. People feared that by absorbing another's sins, the sin eater would become tainted, their very essence altered forever. Whispers of curses and misfortune followed them like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over their existence. In Shropshire, sin eaters operated under a veil of mystery. They were compensated not just with food, but with protective items. black-handled knives or baked goods believed to shield them from the sins they had absorbed. Yet, even with these tokens, the dangers of their role loomed large. Villagers spoke in hushed tones of the fate that befell those who dared to take on such a burden. Fast forward to 1912, when Ella Mary Leather unearthed the remnants of this chilling tradition. Her research revealed a world where the old and the new coexisted, where the shadows of sin-eaters lingered in the corners of Victorian society. Leather interviewed John Jones, an elderly Welsh resident who recalled the sin-eater's role in times of mourning. In his village, the sin-eater was summoned to perform the age-old ritual, consuming black bread and beer placed upon the deceased's chest. As he described the scene, the weight of tradition hung heavy in the air, a poignant reminder of a practice that blurred the lines between life and death. Though sin-eating has largely slipped into the shadows of history, its chilling legacy remains. The practice offers profound insights into the beliefs surrounding death and redemption, revealing how communities grappled with the fate of souls and the figures they turned to in times of grief. As we reflect on this haunting tradition, let us remember the sin-eaters, those who walk the line between the living and the dead, burdened by the weight of transgressions. Their stories remind us that even in darkness, the echoes of the past can never be fully silenced. So, as the night falls and the shadows stretch across the land, take a moment to ponder the forgotten tales of sin-eating. For in the quiet corners of history, the spirits of the departed may still linger, waiting for their stories to be told. Thank you for joining me on this eerie journey through time. Until next time, keep the lights on and embrace the mysteries that lie just beyond the veil.